JP, we finally made it happen. We made it through a hurricane. I know you had a huge, busy summer, and to have you after all this, I'm pumped to have you. Welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Jess.
How was the past summer? I know you're a really busy guy in the summer months, and to have a kind of an easy month right now in September. I don't want to say easy, but less busy. How was the summer?
Summer's fantastic.
Yeah?
Had a great crew of athletes going this summer. It was my third summer in my facility, I guess, when I officially have my own space.
Yeah.
So, number 3. Certainly, 3 of those. So,
wow.
It was great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Where's the facility at?
The facility is on the Hammond Plains Road, very close to the Bedford 4-pad, just around the corner.
Oh, so you're right in the demographic of where you want to be.
Yeah, great location for me. I have to take advantage of it a little more. I'm not much for advertising.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I've never heard about it. Is that how you like it, though?
It's always worked for me. The way I choose to do things, it's only me doing everything there, the training, the on ice, the off ice, the field, and everything. My wife does yoga, so we keep it small. So, and I'm full that way. Yeah. So advertising, marketing, I can't take on more. So that's my excuse anyway.
Do you ever flirt with the idea of getting bigger, or do you like just being one-on-one with your people?
I like having that touch on it.
Yeah. You've always been that way. From a young, I remember just hearing your name when we were younger. It was like, no, if you're with JP, JP's with you. He's not going to toss you to someone. You're going to learn from him. Yeah. I just remember that.
Yeah, that's my preference. Right. If I'm doing it, you're in my program, involve me, one of my athletes. Yeah, I'm going to take care of you.
Wicked. I want to talk about the beginning of your career. Would I call you a strength coach? Would I call you a trainer? Would I call you a life developer? What would I call you?
Yeah, I coach.
Coach?
Yeah, she was a coach.
Okay, good stuff. So
that's fine.
Where did this all develop of being a coach? How old were you when you go, maybe I want to start helping some athletes around here?
Yeah, the intro into the coaching side would have started Alan Andrews Hockey School. So I grew up in PEI.
I didn't know that.
It's my home. Sherwood Parkdale guy, and so at 10 years old, I was one of the original Andrews kids. So it's 40, I think it's like 42 years ago. Now when he actually started that, and by 10 years old, I'm the demonstrator in the summer. So the way that school worked, 10 weeks in the summer, I'd be there every morning doing the skating, and you just go through the ranks in the system. If you like Alan likes you want to come back, so you're the demonstrator, the junior instructor, the senior instructor.
Okay.
So from the years 10 to 20 years old, every summer was Andrews Hockey, working there. That was a summer job. So that would have been first coaching. Yeah, I remember very well, 13 years old, and you're now the junior instructor, and it was the first week. The first summer I was given a team, the guide for the week. So I had 8-year-olds, I believe it was. So I am the 13-year-old coach, and you think you're the big show, and about a phenomenal learning experience. Great people all around, just that hockey environment, every day all summer. It was great summers.
So at a young age, you kind of knew what you wanted to do, kind of.
It's still, you don't think, you're not thinking, certainly at that point. I don't know if I even
13.
think now about, can you actually make a living out of this? But it's a great way to spend the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're in the rink, on the ice.
In the rink.
And you're making money at 13.
Yeah, so a little bit. Didn't do a very good job saving any of that.
New skates,
fun.
$1,000.
Fine. Great experience. So Alan always did a great job of having great people around. Now, if you were an instructor and you stayed year after year, you're a quality person, you're good with the kids, which is number one, and enjoyed working with all the guys.
What was the moment where you go, I kind of like this. I like giving instruction and people know how to respond to the things that I'm saying. What was the point that you go, oh, okay, what I'm saying is getting across to these kids? Do you have like a memory of the first time a lesson that you taught was actually taken in?
Not a first time, but I think even at that 10-year-old, when you're the demonstrator, you realize, okay, you can help these younger kids. So I'm demonstrating, say, for the 10 and under crews. Yeah. And you realize, okay, these kids are listening to me. You're in that first time you're in that position of authority.
Yeah.
But they're listening and they seem to like you and they're improving. You feel that and the passion started right then.
That's great.
Yeah.
To know at that young of an age kind of what you want to do, not what you want to do, but just have somewhat of a direction of something that you like. It's a blessing most people don't have.
Yeah. So, I'm just so fortunate, it's in sport really.
Yeah.
Tied to also something you love doing. You're that kid that loves playing. And then you're like, okay, pass some things along as well.
Did you play your whole life in PEI, or did you leave? I know with your coaching career, you traveled the world, but your playing career, did you travel or did you stay mostly in the Maritimes?
Yeah, I traveled. So I stayed till 17 years old on PEI.
Okay.
So this is now early 90s. Hockey landscape, very different than it is now.
I've heard.
Very different. And at 17, or I was 18 years old, I believe, I went down to prep school. I repeated grade 12. So I did what they call the postgraduate year.
Yeah.
And I went to Westminster School in Simsbury, Connecticut.
Okay.
Did a year there.
Did you like that? Was that tough leaving at 17, you said?
Yeah, is it 17 or is it 18?
That's still a
At
tough
18,
time of life to leave.
No, I was ready.
You're ready?
You know, I always wanted to leave PEI at that time. It felt as a kid, I think growing up, that PEI never changed. The little island always seemed the same, but I think that's just the perspective of a young person. Now when I go back, I love to live there now. Great spot now. It always seems to be different. Every time I go back, it's livelier, more restaurants, more things to do. Great place to have kids. So it's more appealing now at this older age. But then, teenager, I wanted out.
That's fair.
I wanted out.
Do you have family there still?
Family's still there.
That's great.
Yeah. So I get to visit.
I remember the camping trips I took there when I was younger. To this day, I still remember some of the most memorable times as a kid was camping there in the summers. Hockey was over. I was into lacrosse mode, and you'd have that, 1 to 2 week break, and your dad would say, okay, we're going camping. Mm-hmm. And, we went camping, the tent, the fire. We weren't like a little hut, and I don't do those anymore. But I remember going on the island, sometimes taking the ferry rather than the bridge. I loved the ferry. And PEI was always a nice little getaway for me and the family. It's great.
Yeah, amazing place.
Beaches.
You can't beat it. You can't beat the beaches.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you look left and right, it's just sand as far as you can see. It's amazing place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess leaving at 17, that kind of equipped you for travel. And I know most of the kids we talk to that leave for junior and go up to Quebec, and they not that they struggle with it, but it's a growth experience turning into a man at a young age. And some people don't really do well with it. Some kids do. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't, but leaving at that young of an age, going, well, okay, I know what I'm doing. I think I know how to handle the world. I can leave. And I look at your resume. You traveled all over the world and you've coached all over the world. Was that a sign at 17 to go, okay, I'm comfortable with traveling by myself and understanding how the world works and how I can implement my skill into the world of being a coach? Did that resonate with you at 17?
Yeah, it certainly let me know that, I can do this.
Yeah?
I can do this. I like being away. I remember getting dropped off at Westminster. I was early. My father had driven me down. And when he pulled away, I remember the first moment, there was a couple tears because I was early. There was nobody else around. What am I doing here? I actually knew one person that was going to be at the school because they had attended Andrews Hockey School. And that was a connection for me getting down there. It was a connection through Andrews School. And, but of course, nobody's there, so I don't know anyone. There's just some teachers. Oh, man, what is going to happen here? What's this all about? I got my little single dorm room. It felt pretty lonely, but it was very momentary. Very momentary. Day 2, you're just taking off. People start showing up. Fall into it. You start getting classes, the sports, and okay, this is good. Meet a lot of great people, and then you're open up to a completely different world there.
How so? What was the first cultural shock?
Culture shock is coming from PEI, the family. I got an engineer dad, I got a nurse mom, a good family, good living, and now all of a sudden you're a dorm hall. It's filled with some people with some very deep pockets, very different.
Okay.
Right, that's that first impact. Oh, what's your dad do? I was the ambassador to Switzerland. Okay, right. Okay, just very different from the little guy from PEI.
Yeah,
meeting these people, but great friends, right? Made some great friends in there. Some people you're still in contact with, and social media is great for that. Finding people, see what they're up to. But after that start, I realized, that's what I want to do.
That's awesome.
Keep moving.
That's great.
Keep moving. Westminster got me into Union College after that.
Where's Union College again, sorry?
Upstate New York.
Okay. There's a lot of colleges in upstate New York.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
And that was my goal. Going down there was to get NCAA Division I. That was the target. That's the only reason I was going down to prep school. You make that happen. Not exactly the way I wanted, and end up transferring after a first year to St. Mary's. Yeah,
and I saw that you coached there as well.
Yes.
Yeah. How many years did you play St. Mary's?
I just played 2.
2?
Yeah. 2 was a little darker time in SMU's history. And
how so?
Just the direction of the team. It wasn't there. What it needed to be at that time. We were pretty loosely led.
Okay. Trev wasn't there?
No, just before his time. He cleaned it up.
Okay.
He cleaned it up. We had lots of captains practices back in my day, so
Fair enough.
we were good downtown. We were a great team downtown.
Okay, I got you.
A lot of talent. Again, a lot of good guys still in connection with now. Some of them kids I train now. That's how long I've been doing this. And but Trevor came in, cleaned it up, and it was fun to work with him for a few years.
Back in the day in the AUS, was there a lot of kids from Ontario coming here? Because now it's just mostly Ontario kids. But or back then, was there a lot of maritime kids playing for SMU?
No, we still had a big contingent from Ontario.
Did you?
at
Still?
that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was still rare to have the Maritimers on it. I think always a mistake.
Why is that?
Made by the team. Well, just attention for the team and support and having some local heroes. Like growing up in PEI, there wasn't a lot of Islanders playing for the team. They were coming from away, and you love to support your own if the talent's there.
I apologize. I kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I did have a St. Andrews question about Crosby. I think of Crosby every time I hear that. Do you remember the first time seeing Crosby roll through there?
At Andrews? The first time. No, I think he was coming on there just as I was starting to depart, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I met up with Sid when he was 14. I'd heard about him. He was looking for some training. 14. He was 14 years old at the time, and we had about 3 weeks together before he went over to PEI. And that's when he made the connection with Andy over there.
Okay.
So that intro, special kid. You knew even then. I'd heard these stories, and okay, we'll see this guy. And once you saw him train and the dedication, I didn't see it at that point in any 14-year-old ever before.
Really?
No. Just the focus. He really wanted to be great at everything.
14?
14. The funny story about that, I remember we were doing a stretch at the end of a workout, assisted stretch, where I'm just putting some weight on him. He's supposed to push back at me, and he's trying his absolute hardest to push me over. Not the purpose of the stretch. And there was somebody, the reason why I remember this story, somebody was watching us who had to make a call to get it to me after because they were concerned he was going to hurt himself. But it's just the level of his intention. Get better, perform, and be the best.
Wow.
Yeah. Finishing up a workout, he's still trying to push me over.
We had Stephen Lund on this podcast, and he was at St. Andrews, the school as well, and they were roommates.
Yep.
And Stephen got there a little bit late, and he walked into the room, and Crosby was there in the hotel room doing a workout by himself, doing push-ups. He walks in, hey, he's sweating. Hey, Stephen, how you doing? Hey, man, what's up? How you doing? I'm Stephen. Nice to meet you. Yeah, sorry, just one more set. Like just
the work ethic's real.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy to see. And
I didn't see him on the ice at Andrews. No, I don't recall that.
Okay. At least you got the 14-year-old story. That's crazy. Just seeing the drive. That must be one of the best parts of your job, is seeing the drive. I'm sure it doesn't happen every day, but I'm sure you get to work with some people that just have that in their eye. Though I'm going for it. I'm obviously Brad, but there must be some other athletes that you just must love that. Go home, tell your wife, this guy, look what he did today. You must love that.
Yeah, is that compete? Probably the number one thing a coach looks for. You're working with someone. If the compete is at that level, that elite level, you're going to have fun working with that person.
Fun, that's a great word.
It's going to be enjoyable. You're going to get to push them. Maybe sometimes you got to pull the reins, pull them back a little bit, but it's going to be a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that compete. Yeah, and that's noticeable, regardless of what level an athlete goes to. They don't all make it to that NHL level, but I can see it in a 15-year-old who may maybe not play any more than junior, but that compete factor's one of the leading factors in what gets them wherever they go.
It transfers over to anything in life, even if they don't go to the NHL. That compete level still stays there in business, family, anything. Just
It's not taught.
Yeah,
it's natural.
I've had coaches that were great at understanding how to push me and understanding how to let me live a little bit. Some coaches that were terrible at it just ride me until I said, fuck you, get the fuck out of my, At what point of your career did you start to understand that that aspect of understanding a personality, of how hard to push someone and how hard to let someone go? Like, at what age did you figure that out of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's a natural thing. I always know how to communicate with an individual, how far you can go. I read off the body language, how they're responding to me when I'm giving them, constantly reading how much more you can give them before they're going to back off. Some of the elite ones, like I said, won't back off. You gotta You got to dial it back for them. But I learned very on. I know it's a natural instinct you have. Okay, this I'm going to communicate with this person because when I'm working for them as on the strength coach side of it, right? They're paying me. I'm working for them. I get a benefit from them. I got to watch them and make sure this whole thing's enjoyable at some level. So it gets miserable, but they get to see that okay, this is beneficial, and keep that very open communication lines.
Yeah. I saw years ago, John Moore did a thing with you, and you guys were playing rugby at the Commons, and I was like, that's different. Like, I don't know how that translates into hockey or whatever, but I just remember looking at this years ago. I go, that's different.
Yeah.
When did you start to? You just said, it could be painful, it can suck sometimes, but obviously playing rugby and that looked fun.
Yeah.
When did you? Like, why do you choose rugby? Why do you go to the Commons to do that and not really focus on the lifting and the strength and stuff? What's the actual goal of it? I know it's fun, but
what was happening? That was an end of a field session. So typically, what I like to play is an ultimate frisbee game. Ultimate frisbee. The way we keep it really competitive. But it's usually at the end of a field session when we run up Citadel Hill. Right, not we. They've won. Run up Citadel Hill. I come in and play the game. I come in hot.
He's cheating.
Feel good. But that's what's happened. Yeah, but there was 1 year after one of my seasons coaching in Japan, I got to travel Australia. And at one stop, I got to join in on this game of touch rugby. You're going to Australia and rugby. Huge, right? Huge following. It's and these people are pretty serious about it. The same way hockey is in Canada. Rugby's in Australia. And they introduced me to this touch game. Great game for training. It's a 5-touch game. As the defending team, you're always constantly backing up 5 yards after you tag, so it's constantly in motion. The ball turns over pretty quick after 5-touch, and after that travel, I got to bring this back for the guys. And you bring that out with the Marchand brothers and Bodnarchuk and all those high-level guys. The compete level was high.
Just want to win.
I think I had to go back to ultimate frisbee. It was a little less contact in that one, but everybody loved it. Again, the competitors, any chance to compete, and better themselves, and rise above somebody else for that moment, they love it. But that's something I would do, at the end of a field session. This summer it was ultimate frisbee. I just had a conversation recently about bringing the rugby back, so the ball could come out next summer.
Yeah, it was a great video. It looked like a great time. It's some of those John Moore videos were great back in the day. You guys were on the gym on Quinpool there, and Brad was pushing a sled, and you were taking the time of who was the quickest. And you could see in Brad's eye, I was the quickest, but he only won by a second. I don't know who he beat. It might have been half a second. Yeah. And you could see, like, he wanted to celebrate, but fuck, I won. Like, there was a couple F-bombs dropped in the video, too, and they were just, Brad was psyched, and the other guys wanted to yell back at Brad, but they were too tired, so they couldn't. But I remember watching that video and going, those guys aren't messing around. And there's people just walking to McDonald's behind you on the sidewalk there, and you guys didn't care. You guys were like, whatever, we're just working hard. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And to see you talk about the compete level and all those guys, I think I heard in the background one guy go, hey, are you going to the skate tonight? And then someone goes, no, man, my legs are like butter. I can't skate. And he calls you pussy. You're not going. And I love that. Like, you better be at skating tonight. You better be there. I love that. And that whole environment, is that something that you bring, or is that just something you say, I don't like to bring staff into my gym? Is that what you like to do when you're picking people to come train with you, that you know that those people are going to bring that environment to your facility? Is that something you look for in the person, or is that something that you portray on everyone to have that compete level?
Yeah, my goal is to portray that on everyone.
Okay.
But there's some you can't reach to that level, right? That's not in everyone. You try to bring it out. You try to bring that to compete. Let's say you're coaching a hockey team. You're trying to bring that compete out in every guy on the bench. When you've been on teams, it's not the same. On that team who the real killers are, right? Who the guys you want out last minute. You know who you don't want out last minute. Right? It's on that bench. And the same thing in that training group. So if I'm developing a training group around Marchand, it's got to be a group of killers. They got to be real.
What a word.
To beat them, right? Yeah. And that group would include his brother Jeff. That would include Andy Bodnarchuk. That video probably had Alex Grant probably in there. Yep. Steve McCauley in there. The guys that I work with for a long time, and they know what's expected of them. And then if the clock is out and it's compete mode, like that's the battleground for the day. They know they want the crown, right? They want the cup on that day. And maybe in the video you're talking about, Marshy got caught cheating. Oh,
did he? Yes.
He doubled up. I think he went right when he was supposed to go right left on a move. And all the guys watching caught it. Everybody knew.
Oh, like to turn the sled?
Yeah. I think it was a sled drag where you're supposed to drag once with your right, and the next time you got to drag with your left.
Yeah.
And he got caught. He did the same arm twice, and the guys caught it. They're always watching. And so, he got the fastest time, but it was with an asterisk, right? He wasn't happy.
And I love that.
He's most pissed at himself.
Yeah, he's not pissed at the guy. He's pissed at himself.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
And I love
There's
after.
a lot of refs watching. There's a lot of refs.
Yes. And I love after how you kind of walk slowly over to the board with your marker. You took like a good couple seconds, and then you wrote the time down.
Yeah.
It was dramatic, and everyone was looking, what's he going to write? What's he going to write? What's he going to write? And it was the anticipation for you writing that.
That was just for John. That was drama for
It was.
John.
It was still, I don't know. It was great. It was awesome.
Those are fun days. Yeah, Fitness FX was my home for many years. We had a room in the basement we affectionately called the dungeon.
I've been there.
And that place got hot in August. There was a lot of sweat and giving up in that room. A little bit of vomit some days, but not the intention, but it did happen sometimes. Great place. Guys had fun going there. And outside, there where that video was, and basically an alleyway. A lot of fun. Sean Alexander, Deshaun, who operates Fitness Effects, my favorite gym in the city. Probably one of the best gyms in the Maritimes by far.
Is it?
Just the atmosphere there. It's real. It's authentic.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't find that. I can't go into a commercial gym.
No?
That's not my place.
That's fair.
I got to have some fun.
Yeah, what do you mean fun? You like the rawness of a gym?
Yeah, rawness.
Like the rust on a bar.
I just want to see some. Yeah, a little bit of rust is okay. On the kettlebells, on the bars, and just the ability, the freedom to do what you want. So my setup right now, just very athletic. Right? I don't need any fancy machines.
Can you describe that to me? Like, what does that mean? No, just really athletic. Like,
so I'd like space to move. Like it's open as much as I can. It might as well you have it open. You got your turf space where you're just unlimited what you can do there. I don't. The athletes don't need to go to a commercial setup where it's machine and this is what you do here and this is what you do here, right? You got to be able to combine things and be able to put some things together in little clusters and just have the freedom to move. Same way they do in their sports.
Fair enough. Do you consider yourself a little bit of an innovator when it comes to exercise and weightlifting and being mobile, or do you just stick with a traditional plan and work with each guy individually? How do you maneuver through that side of things when it comes to actually getting a player better?
Yeah, I wouldn't sit around thinking of myself as an innovator, but I push guys through very traditional things, and then you add little twists. The traditional is what works. There's been things that have been proven for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. They don't look that great on Instagram, so you don't see much of it. There's a little bit of the new stuff you can grab and mix in, but my intention is to make everyone comes in and training more athletic. If they're training with me, we're going to become more athletic. Doesn't matter what their sport is. What I never use is sport-specific, that term. Sport-specific, as far as my hockey players are concerned, is what we do when we jump on the ice. That's specific to their sport. Mm-hmm. There might be a couple, or maybe a little more time we spend working lateral because of the movement in the sport. We go a little more left to right than you would normally with an average trainee. But somebody could jump in one of my workout sessions with Marchand. It could be football player, basketball player. Benefits all their sports.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
That helps the clientele as well, rather than just, hockey guys only.
Yeah. I had a college basketball player this past summer. The last couple of years been working with me, and Malcolm Bussey from St. FX, running back, has worked with me now for 6-7 years. It's been a long time now, and that's his main training for football the last couple of years. And he dominant at his sport. Obviously, he was player of the year, I think, last year for AUS.
Wow. Do you feel success in that?
Yeah, it feels it's like proving, okay, this works. This works in other sports, right? You don't have to be the football player and just do what's traditional for football, or you don't have to do what's traditional for hockey. This is making everybody more athletic.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about yoga. The first ever yoga class I took was with your wife, I believe, back in, I couldn't tell you the year. You walked in here. I tried to tell you the last time we saw each other. I didn't know. Yeah. The first time I ever took a yoga class was with your wife. I won't lie. I kind of laughed a little bit. Oh, what are we doing here? This is I don't know what it was so new to me. I thought we were stretching, and then the next thing you know, we're holding the pose for a minute. I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's a workout. Back then, and you started to implement yoga with hockey players. Was that new back in the day, or was that already a thing? And I was just so young.
No, that was innovative at
So
that
back
time.
then, okay.
Yeah. So my wife would have started that with the guys, I believe, 04.
That I wanted to say
05.
04, but like I said, my
Yeah.
numbers, I don't know.
So I think it's summer of 04. And, it wasn't being done. And so that's at a time when I have guys like Marchand, Bondarchuk, Justin Smith are going, Jeff's going. The guys are with me for a long time. They're young kids at that point. And, they don't know what to make of it. I remember, and everybody, because it was so new. Like the same thing you're talking about. Wow, what's this good for hockey, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a yogi.
Yeah.
And over time, I have a conversation with all those guys who were together with me for so many years. It's actually what they know has been best for them. Right. Get a good example, Bondarchuk and Marchand, like still going, still playing. Yeah. And they've both stressed to me, like, this is what I need. So glad I did that, because they follow those routines now. It's part of their training that.
Oh, to this day, they still do it? Yeah?
Day. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, they know the benefits.
I found the benefits really helped me when I passed my 20s, when stretching came in, even mental health. I love the hot classes. There's something about after sweating your bag off and someone putting a cold towel on your head and just knowing you worked your bag off. Just stretching and holding poses, whatever it may be. I'm sure you can elaborate on it more than I can, but there's something about it that makes me feel so good leaving a hot yoga class about myself, about my body. And then it kind of carries a tradition, not a tradition, but a momentum of, okay, I'm going to put a green smoothie in my body. Okay, it just helps me with momentum more than the gym, more than lifting weights. It's more of a mental thing for me,
Yep.
yoga. And I really noticed it, in my 20s. And I don't do it as much as I'd like to. I wish I did. But every time I do it, it was just so beneficial for me in so many ways. And I'm happy that your wife introduced it to me back in the day, because I probably to this day wouldn't have gone if I didn't really go with my buddies. You know, I got to experience it for the first time with my friends,
Yep.
and I'll never forget it. It was an eye-opening experience back then.
Yeah, I think the mental side of it is the biggest, and that's what most of the guys would tell me as well. They get to get in their own headspace, and I've talked about this before with people. It's such a rare thing for a hockey player. You're always in that team setting, right? Even when you're training, you're in a small group usually. Training solos not the best for development. So you're always in a team setting. There's always in that hockey environment a lot of noise, especially if it's game. You're playing at a high level. There's crowds. Everything's loud and crazy. And the yoga gets them in their own head. Right, they get to be in their own heads, just think about themselves and how they can move in their body, and it takes them to a different place. This was that meditative part of it as well, which my wife Mata, she stresses with the guys every session, throws it in there, and in that it just makes them stronger, absolutely stronger. When you settle down, everything being quiet, you can go through an hour of classes. You know that it's physically demanding. You walk out of it. You're in a better place. You're in a better place physically. You have increased mobility, which is fantastic, of course, for everyone. But I think the headspace that you gain, the mental strength is the best.
I think it's really good for the ego when you see people go in there and hold these poses, for 45 seconds, a minute, whatever it is. And I go in there and I've fallen over. I got the block under my knee. And it's like, how are these people doing it? When, you're an athlete growing up, you think you can do anything. You think you're a superhero, but you can't hold a little pose for a minute. I remember that being really eye-opening. Well, maybe I can't do everything I think I can do. I have to be a little bit more disciplined in the way I approach things. And to this day, I remember that aspect of it, just being kind of embarrassed that I couldn't do that. And it makes you work harder. I liked it.
Yeah, you walk away with that respect for, okay.
Yes.
Right, this person can do that. I got to be able to do that, right? Yeah. I should be able to do that. As an athlete at a high level, I should have that ability. So there is that side that pushes you as well.
Yeah. Even like the point of getting hot. Like I saw there was points you want to leave the room, you're too hot, but you can't leave. You just you got to force yourself to stay there. I don't know. We could talk for days.
And that ability is there for you to do that, but then that's that mental strength, right? So if you're supposed to hold that pose a long time, 5-10 seconds in, the head's fading, and I can't do this, and that inner weakness starts creeping in there, and you get over that. Again, that's another mental hurdle you've jumped over.
I love the sauna. I'm in the sauna 4 days a week.
Right.
That's mental.
Fantastic. Again, my wife loves it.
Yeah.
She's great at it. Great routine. I can't get into it.
No,
Not the same level. No.
How long does she
Something
go in
about getting
for?
hot. That is that time period in the sauna where you haven't broken the sweat yet. That's the longest time
You gotta
period
turn
of
it
my
up.
life. I gotta do.
Gotta get it hotter.
That's it. I gotta crank it.
I love it for the phone aspect. It's away, no music. It's you and the sweat. I don't know. That's I'm all for my job. I have to be on the internet. Unfortunately, I'm always focused on that. And
Right.
it's the time where I can put my phone away and focus and just sweat and just be in my own head of trying to, stay in here as long as you can. Sweat, jump in a cold shower. You're good. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
It's really
Oh,
nice.
yeah. Certainly proven benefits. Many, many studies.
I want to talk about your travels, specifically Japan. I've always wondered when a Canadian goes overseas, I'm assuming that people look at you for your knowledge. Oh, this guy grew up in Canada. He must know everything about hockey. He must know how to do this, must know how to do that. From your experience, I guess I shouldn't say Japan, but just overseas, what are the most common things that people look for you in terms of knowledge in the game of hockey? What are these people looking for in terms of advice from you? 'Cause you've been everywhere.
Yeah, not everywhere, but I've had a lot of great experiences.
A lot.
Fantastic experience. That started in first pro coaching was in Hungary. Hungary was the first that was, and that led. They all lead into the next for me. Is how it works, and that's with most work. You make the connections, go to another event. Meet this person. They need a coach next season. Okay, let's try this out. So I went to Hungary. Hungary started. My wife and I were traveling just a year before we got married, and it was a European trip. And during that, in the tail end, we were in Italy for a while, and I was trying to drum up some contacts in hockey because then that really got me. I was loving our time over there. I think I want to live over here and get paid to do it. So while we were on that trip, and that's 07, 08, I actually did a job interview in Italy for a team.
No way.
We were in Florence I was doing language school, trying to learn the language, and this connection popped up. You jump on a train, you go up to northern Italy and interview.
Gee, that's the life right there.
And it was fun. I was, wow, this can actually, that job didn't work out, but they kept those connections. And that summer, we got back in 08, was when the call came and the email came to this job in Hungary. We had been, my wife and I were there on the travels. Okay, let's do it. We'll go. You jump in, we got married, and less than 2 weeks later, we were flying out. The honeymoon was a season of hockey in Hungary. Maybe not what she was looking for, but
It's a hockey wife.
yeah. And great experience. Phenomenal first. I was going over there as a head coach of a junior program, and I'm supposed to be assistant coach with the men's team.
Okay.
And all this is very foreign to me. How this is going to work out? I thought things would operate very, similar to here, hockey world. But I got over there, and the junior program was a handful of kids. We didn't even have enough for a team. The head coach of the men's team at the time was Slovakian. Did not speak English, so communication with him was pretty much nil. And it was one weekend, and I knew that the team was completely tuned this other coach out. We went to a tournament in Slovakia, playing some extra Liga teams. It was quite a challenge for that club at the time, and I thought, I don't know how this is all going to go. I could be gone here very soon just because this situation isn't great. But thankfully it didn't go that way. After that tournament, the general manager pulled me into a meeting and said he wants me to be the head coach. Okay, let's do this. And then you take off on the ride. There it is, the first job. At that time, coaching at a high level, all I've done is 3 years of an assistant coach with Steiny at SMU. So there was time there, experience, but you don't know. Okay, I get a team of men, pros. Everybody's getting paid here, and I'm the leader. Okay, let's go. And phenomenal, just phenomenal ride there. We had three good seasons, and it was in the fourth year after that I still worked with the national team, and that's when Japan came on the scene. So the national team work with Team Hungary was first year I did the junior team. At the World Championships, they were at a Division II level at that time. Funny stories out of that tournament. That tournament we were hosting, so we were the host team for this tournament.
Okay.
Two of the teams at that level. So Hungary had dropped down the year before. So the way that works, you get the levels. You got the world level, where Canada and U.S. and all those clubs are. Yeah. Then you go Division I. Just basically the next 6 teams trying to get into the top group, usually good countries. And then once you get into Division II, it gets a little ugly, right? You got a couple teams that are decent at hockey, a couple countries, and then some that are just putting programs together for the tournament.
I gotcha.
Which is what you need for the development of the game, but not so good. So that my team, Hungary, is a good team. It shouldn't be there. And we have Spain to play. We have Mexico to play against. We have China to play against. There's 3 of our competitors in that tournament. The Mexican score, I was changing as much as I could. I think we hit 30. That was my probably the worst coaching experience I ever had. And I was telling the guys not to score, but you just could not score. The level was that different. Did not feel good after that one. So you end up with that tournament. We go into, there's only 2 teams really at our level in that tournament. Us and Great Britain.
Great Britain?
Great Britain.
Oh,
yeah, decent junior program. Yeah, they've gotten better over the years.
Interesting.
It's always about numbers, though. How many are playing there? Same thing in Hungary, but the numbers, how many you can draw from. And that ended up, and they set up those tournaments the way it's set up. It's quite obvious. Everybody's ranked. So we get to them in the final game, which turns out to be the gold medal game. Home ice, unfortunately, didn't go our way. We lost in overtime. A lot of controversy in that one. There was a hand goal. These things that you remember, right? It's not, for me, it's not all the achievements. It's when you didn't succeed. Yeah. Burns a hole in your brain. Yeah. Yeah, I remember them tossing a puck into the net. There was no video review. We should have won that game.
On a world championship stage?
It wasn't OT, it was a shootout. We ended up losing a shootout.
Oh.
Yeah, poor. But everything gets graded, right? So when you're at the Division 2 level, you're getting Division 2 officiating as well.
I was going to say, that was my next question.
It drops down, right? They're not taking the tough guys. They're not coming to our tournament.
They're the guy. That's interesting.
Hungary. Great experience. So that was that year. Then in the second season, I was coaching in Hungary. I made it to assistant coach with the men's team. And they were at that Division 1 level. They had touched the world level once previous to this. They'd gotten up to the big pool, and they wanted to get back there. And there was, at that men's level, there's a lot of good hockey players, some playing outside the country, and great level. Division 1 is a fun level to coach at.
I bet.
Yeah, especially when you're leaving your club team. All of a sudden you go to the national team practice. Wow, things are really clicking here. Yeah. Yeah, I've had that conversation with the NHL guys. And then each time you go up, I think it's great. Say, Brad, it's great you're with the Boston Bruins, it's an NHL team, but you join Team Canada. That's a different level altogether. So that 2 seasons with Ted Sater as the head coach of the national team. Ted Sater is a veteran NHL head coach. Okay. Buffalo, New York, maybe a couple other places.
Ted Sater, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, ton of experience. Great to work with. Fun to learn from. Good environment. The first year with him, we lost in the gold medal game to Slovenia. Host team Slovenia beat us. Yeah. And this has changed over the years with the way they format the tournament. They mess around with the formula a little bit. At that time, you had to be gold to move up to the world level. And now I think, and not long after that, they changed it to gold and silver go up, and 2 come down, up and down the ladder.
I got you.
From the world level, 2 drop, 2 go up, so that competes. So I was only 1 at that time, missed out. And second year, we were host team with that national. We were hosting Hungary. Real fun environment. So that's in Budapest, 10,000-seat arena.
Budapest?
Yeah.
I've been to Budapest. I love that place.
Yeah, amazing town. Amazing town to tour around.
Yeah.
And we got the experience of hosting. We lost in overtime to Italy. It's another heartbreaker.
Oh man!
And it was still only 1 team got to go up. Yeah.
I'm still
trying. I can still remember that on the bench and just tie game, just about to go into overtime in the final minute, and the defender took a penalty. So we ended up starting OT and the penalty kill.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's it.
That was it. And then the third season I had back in Slovenia was the host. I was working with Kevin Primo was the head coach at that time. So I was in an assistant role these 3 years with this club, with the national team. And Kevin Primo was head coach that year. We were a little weaker. That year we had a bronze. But during that tournament, Team Japan is in it. And Team Japan I've made connections now with other people. Mark Mahan's the man's name, who had been coaching the national team there. He's a Canadian guy. He spent, I think it was a decade, coaching Team Japan.
Wow.
And his assistant coach happened to operate one of the teams in the Asian League out of Japan. Chris Wakabayashi is his name. And Chris and I sat down. He wanted a new coach to come take over the team. And that brought me to Japan. Wow. So you're sitting in Slovenia at this tournament, this great level, and sitting down for a job interview for Japan. And I brought that back home to my wife.
I was gonna
She was
say.
all over it.
Was she?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Adventures.
I guess so. Yeah. Do you have kids at this point?
At that point, one daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great experience, I think,
One
for
day.
her to live.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well,
That experience for anyone. If we want to talk about that experience in Japan, I mean, I think everybody should have that as part of their life, where you experience living as the visual minority in a culture, complete immersion. Super for, I think, personal development.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you speak any of the language?
No, I'm pretty bad for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Notoriously bad. But yeah, my excuse and my story, I'm going there to coach and lead.
Yeah, but the players, you gotta.
Yeah,
do
but
they-
I'm never going to do that very well to the same level in a different language,
Okay.
especially some challenging languages like Hungarian, exceptionally difficult.
Is it?
Yeah, and Japanese again, very difficult as well. So you learn a little bit to be polite and communicate with everybody. But I'm working in all those stops. I'm working with a translator. In Hungary, I was solo mission there with my club team. So one of my players would be the translator. I'm not sure he always followed up on all my directions.
Left a couple words out.
when I would go on a 5-minute rant.
Yeah, boys dump the puck. Why aren't they dumping the puck?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, now if I went on a rant, 5 minutes, and I see he translated in 10 seconds,
Mark, relax.
shoot him a couple glances. He left out the good part.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So and then in Japan, working with Chris, he's Japanese Canadian guy. So he's my man, my full time translator.
Sounds like a great guy.
Yeah. He's exceptional. That was a great relationship there.
I've never been to Asia. I really want to get. I want to get there for sure. What was the one pickup you picked up from that culture that maybe Canadians wouldn't maybe understand? What's one beneficial factor that you took from there and translate into your life today here in North America?
Yeah, my wife and I talk about it a lot. One of the things, like the customer service, the way people are treated.
That's a great answer.
It is just on a completely different level. I think we're good here for the most part. Maybe something over my lifespan. This thing has got a little weaker, a little more rude, maybe not as polite as we used to be.
If you can even get customer service.
Yeah, if you can.
Airport,
you're
checking yourself. Grocery store, you're checking yourself out.
That stuff, exactly. Now in Japan, no, absolutely. Highest level I've ever experienced. Absolutely, without question. Just the politeness. They want to help you out, right? And that's a respect factor, and that's a huge part of that culture, right? You have the seniors, you have the youth, and the youth have to show all the respect for the seniors, right? And you witness that. It doesn't matter what the job is, right? Yeah, if you're a trash collector or a doctor, everybody's given the same respect, right, as they should be, regardless of what they do. But it's just so evident in that culture, the treatment of people. Yeah.
I was watching a cooking show over in I'm not sure what country. It was in Asia. I'm not sure what country. I forget. And they run a restaurant, and they looked at each customer as a god. They were very spiritual, and they said, okay, if customers are coming in, that means money's going in our pocket. Mm-hmm. So they looked at each customer as God. So they treated each customer like God, and their business was running for like 75 years. Passed down generation to generation, and that's how they looked at that. So whenever you say, the customer service was on point, I wonder if that's a common trait with a lot of other people over there. They just looked at the customer and whatever they're doing, the work, as God. So if they're good to God, God will be good to them.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so religious there.
No?
It's just the politeness.
Politeness?
Right? How they think people should be treated. Yeah. And certainly they do display that. Everybody, so you're going through the checkout at the grocery store, like everybody's getting the same treatment, same great treatment. They're bagging your groceries still. That's still something that's happening right there. Maybe too much plastic being used, but the treatment is there, right? And that's something I certainly you appreciate it so much, especially being a foreigner in that culture, and also something I try to bring back and improve myself. I think I was good at it before, but then once you're immersed in that, I got to be better at this. And I want to feel like the trainee, somebody training with me. It doesn't matter if it is Brad Marchand or if it's one of my young guys playing U15. Right? They should feel like, for me, they're getting the same treatment. Regardless. So something I strive for.
Okay, that's great. I do want to talk about Brad and the relationship you guys have. It's how long have you guys been together for?
I think it's 22 now.
22.
Yeah, it's 20 plus. I think it's up to 22.
Who introduced
Start to
you
lose.
to?
That all started. I was at courtside at a basketball game at the old Metro Center. I don't
Oh,
even know.
boy.
I don't even know who it was we would have been watching at the time. But this
Who
is
was that?
like
Rain Man?
2000. No, it's even before that time, I believe. Well, I'll throw out the date. Maybe we know. I'm not good with that stuff, but it would have been 2002.
That's a long time ago.
It was 2002, I believe. And Scott Bodnerchuk is sitting beside me, Andrew Bodnerchuk's father. And they're about to go the season. This would have been probably in August. And very close to the start of the hockey season anyway. And he is coaching the Tassabanum AAA team with Kevin Marchand. And we started talking about hockey. And so, yeah, why don't you come help us out? And I just met this man at this first introduction with him, right? Just one of those chance meetings.
Yeah.
And, it's just so funny to think about that now because here's a guy that's still, a very good friend after all these years. And that one meeting, just because he's rubbing elbows with me, of course, all these great things have happened.
Wow.
And so I went and coached that team. I started training the guys right away. That would have been Bodnerchuk, Brad Marchand, Jeff Marchand, Ryan Hillier, Justice Smith, that crew. Great team. We had a phenomenal team of talent, right? For Tassa minor hockey, to have those guys that just named. So you got a captain of a CIS team there. You got two guys drafted at the NHL. You got NCAA Division I scholarship. Sorry, 3 guys drafted Hillsy as well. 3 guys drafted the NHL. You might never see that again on a team in Nova Scotia.
Yep.
Right? That many at that level.
It's displayed well at St. Margaret's Bay Arena on the wall to this day.
The wall of fame.
Yeah, they're all there.
Yeah, and the other guy on that wall, Chris Potty, is a guy I trained in junior as well.
And his father was kind of a coach for the Max when I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that started that relationship. That was at the Bantam level, and then so the training started there. Just at the tail end of that summer before the season started, was my intro to those guys, and then just continued on.
Yeah.
Ever since, still going with a couple. Right, still got 2 guys still playing.
It's unbelievable.
Wild.
What a relationship over 20 years.
Yeah.
2002.
Yeah.
What do you think the key was to the healthy relationship? Because Brad's in the States, and some of these other guys travel all over the world, and they're introduced to new trainers, they're introduced to new ways of training, they're introduced to new things, but yet they come home and they listen to your wisdom. What do you think allowed you and them to have this healthy relationship for this long of a time?
Yeah, great bond early on, right? Maybe I had the benefit of being on the bench with their 2 dads. At that age, you don't want to listen to your dad.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
as much as they respect their fathers. So
yeah.
I came on I'm what would I be older than boys? 13 years older than the guys. So young, right? Compared to their dads, younger. Compared to their dads, a young guy on the bench talking, and okay, this guy played university, and maybe at that point they're looking up to me a little bit. But it started as a very positive relationship. And I'm being introduced to them at influential age, right? Where they look for some guidance, and then once they trained a little bit, I think the real key was the first full summer we got to train, and then they're going into what is now U18, major midget there, and they dominated us.
Subways.
Yeah, as first year guys, all of a sudden they dominate, and it was because they entered so strong. Powerful, because at that time it's still in a bit of an infancy, the off-season training with the youth here in Nova Scotia. Certainly at the higher level, everybody's working out, still probably a little more bodybuilder focus at that time for the older guys, but for the youth it was still a new thing in the early 2000s. So these guys see these benefits, like, okay, keep going, right? You get that positive reinforcement.
It's a little cheat sheet. No one knows about this yet. Let's keep working at this.
But I think they felt great and they saw it. So like, hey, next summer let's do it again and again and again. And you're fortunate to work with some high level guys who have the ability to keep advancing up that ladder. And you go from the major midget to the junior to drafted to the NHL, to NHL camps, signing your first pro contract, and It's all a result of all the work they're putting in, not just with me, of course, but they know that, okay, this is a pattern now. These are things I got to keep going. And so when the off season comes, we get back together again and grind.
I love it. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
There's a rumor, or there's a myth, a story, that after Brad's first year in the NHL, he didn't do that well, and then he went into the GM's office after team meetings, and he said, "I'm going to come back next year and put up 20 goals," and he did.
Yeah, I think he told that to Claude Julien. Yeah.
Do you remember that summer, the summer before he went off to the season and got 20 goals?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember that one particular because
It
nothing
doesn't
changed.
It's all the same level of work.
That.
It's not.
It's all the same. Maybe what changed over the course of the years with him is how high the level was that he wanted to keep achieving, right? So initially, what we're talking about there is becoming just a serious NHL contributor.
But nothing changed. But like from this past summer to when you started training him after that first year in the NHL, nothing's changed. It's the same consistency.
It's the same guy, but the rungs are higher, right? It's the same consistency, but like you got a guy who gone from a fourth line NHLer. We're talking about a guy, fourth line NHLer, who turns himself into world class winger, like top 10 player in the NHL.
Hall of Famer, if you ask me.
Right? You try to do a list of guys that have that history. Fourth liner to, like you said, Hall of Famer. No, that's a pretty small list. I don't have another name that I can pull out off the top of my head. Not that I'm a hockey historian, but so what I'm talking about is he always had another focus, right? So that summer in particular, is I'm getting 20 goals, right? Which a guy coming off fourth line experience, come on, you're not doing that, right? But yeah, he's going to do it. And you come back from that, I'm going to get 80 points, right? Boom, 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 and it keeps going up, and I'm going to be the best left winger in the world. I'm going to be on Team Canada, or something comes up, and then later in the career, things still come up, and it's Team Canada for the World Cup. I'm going to be the best player on that team.
I'm going to be Crosby's winger,
right? Yeah. And it hasn't changed. And even conversations with him this summer, he's got 3 more years on his contract. He sees this as a contract year.
Interesting.
He wants it, right? He's chasing after it. Yeah. He's not done. He's not done with the game. He wants more.
Yeah,
that's the compete. And we would probably have the same conversation about all those guys at that absolute world level, right? They don't want to give up on it. Yeah, well, there's always something new to chase.
What a treat it must be to be around that. Not a lot of people get to experience that energy.
No, you don't experience a lot. But when you do, you think, oh yeah, this is it. This is why this guy's a top performer. He has a trip planned, hunting trip. I think it's very well known now. Avid hunter he is now.
Marshy Milko, shout out.
That's right. And he has a trip planned out in Colorado. He ships training equipment to his house out there in Colorado first. That's all set up there. Like, so there's no day, there's no true day off. There's always a focus. What's it going to be? Training camp's coming up. He's coming back from injuries. He doesn't want to wait until the deadline they give them. He wants to be prepared weeks before that, right? That's the mentality. What's that? He doesn't give up on anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say after that. You just wish you could be around that every day, just to see that compete level, not just with Brad, but just in every person. It's something you strive for. It's perfection.
Yeah. Players like that, those top competitors, again, we go back to that compete where guys who always want to compete. You've had those teammates, right? Practice is different when those guys are missing.
I haven't really had many of those teammates.
Yeah.
Man, we're talking about elite.
Yeah. Elite. But if we go from every level, right? Like say your biggest competitor, you're on your junior team.
Okay, sure.
Right? On your junior team, on your midget team, your biggest competitor. When that player's absent from practice or the game's a little different.
Okay, fair.
Right?
Yeah.
There's somebody bringing it up. There's somebody bringing up the level. And that's top line NHL guys. Right? If they're not in the lineup, this team isn't as good. Practice isn't as good. You want to end for myself. You see it in the training in the off season. Mm-hmm. If Brad's part of the group, if Andy's part of the group, tempo's up. Mm-hmm. Right? He takes notice. Yeah.
It's great.
That's good. Fun to be a part of.
Absolutely.
I love the energy.
Yeah.
Right. You know, the workout's going to be great.
Because you're at your
gonna
best.
Be going. Again, go back to that levels I was talking about practice when I go from club team hungry to team hungry.
Yeah.
Different level. Then you would go from a place where we got just some guys who are intro to training, right? Young. They don't know that compete yet. So you got a group of 15-year-olds and you do the exact same workout with the group of killers. It's a different level.
Yeah.
It looks completely different.
Yeah.
And the same with practices. An ICU team, you go from your club team, you do that practice, take that same practice to the national team. Wow, this is different. Fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
How much time are we at, Mark?
55 minutes.
I have correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to offend you here, but I truly want to know. Do you enjoy being in the mud? Do you enjoy the element of your job of working with people that you can help? Rather, like correct me if I'm wrong, but you could be working with top level athletes, maybe in the NHL with Boston. You could be with anyone, but it seems like you love just to work with people that you see so much potential in to get them to that next level. Am I wrong by saying that, or is there a part of you that you'd love to be doing something with a huge club, or no, you like the mud and you love helping that individual?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So you're asking me, why am I hiding in that place in
No,
Bedford?
I'm not saying hiding. I'm just saying it just seems like
Yeah, no, it is.
you're working with all these teams in Europe, and you know.
I want to for myself, my business. I have enjoyed operating the business the way I do. I want to work with people who want to get better.
Okay.
That's it. They show, and if they find me, it's usually because they want to get better, and they want to put that commitment in. So yeah, it's not about where I work with the NHL team or that.
It's not about that.
No, for me, I really want to. Somebody finds me, they want to train with me, want to make that commitment to 15 weeks in my program over the summer. I enjoy that. That's what I'm looking to do. I feel great doing it. Right?
Wow.
It is fun. It is what I love to do. The coaching part.
It's great.
I think I do. If I was to, I'm a terrible person for favorites and what I want better. My mind doesn't really work that way.
What do you mean favorites?
Like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? I don't think that way.
Okay.
It's not the way my brain works. But if I was to compare the coaching a team and coaching training, I think I love to coach a team more. I love that.
Really?
That compete. Yeah. What I always tell people about that is it's the constant measuring stick. So you're going up against another team. You're playing Team B on Friday. You're planning your practices about beating that team, and after that game, you assess how you did. They either spanked you, and you got to make a lot of adjustments, or you beat them and things went well, and still some adjustments to make. But it's constant measuring stick. What can be done, and that can be so hard to replace that anywhere else in life, right? Besides that athletic environment, that team environment. And being in that position where you get a lot of responsibility. You got to lead this team, get everybody on the same page, and get them to work together. That's fun to do. It's fun to stand behind a team when they. It's not just about the winning, but when they're working, you see them improving, and all the things you're talking about, and everybody working together.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing to watch.
I bet.
Yeah.
We just had David Miles on. He's a musician, and he's playing in the Nova Scotia Orchestra. And there's going to be 60 people on stage, and he's like, it's the most beautiful thing about what I do is having 60 people in sync on stage while performing in front of people. He's like, I like performing by myself or with two people, but he says when there's just a bunch of people working together, he's like, it's magic. It's incredible. Same thing with coaching.
Yeah.
Just having people work together. Great thing.
Yeah. So in the mud, absolutely. I like being in the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find a challenge.
Go to work.
Exactly.
Challenge. The challenges in the off season are getting young trainees to see the value in it, to really find out what it means to work. Because most people showing up with me, they have no idea what it really takes. You put them through those first couple hour workouts, they start to get the picture, and the ones that have that compete are the ones you see excel, and they're a much different athlete come training camp.
JP, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on here. Before you go, I got to get one more question. What's in order for someone to get to a goal of what they want to achieve out of this life? What's one thing or a discipline that you'd say to do to this person in order for them to achieve that goal? What's the one aspect of life you'd say, make sure you work on this and you'll be fine?
Yeah, you can always come back to that finding doing what you love, but it's got to be repetition. Repetition is what I talk about the most. Repetition. Where you find that thing, whatever it is you want to do. It certainly applies to the training. Everything's about repetition there, but that's about life. I just start walking, right? You just kept trying, kept going as a kid, and you find that thing you want to do and be great at. I see, for me, coaching and getting people to experience more from themselves. It's just repetition. Do it again, make the adjustments along the line, but there's got to be a lot of reps.
All right. I'll take that to the bank. JP, you're the man.
You look at the reps you got in there right now. Over 400.
This is 408.
There you go. So
Yeah.
if we go back to the first 10, they probably look a lot different than the last 10.
Oh,
Right?
I can't even go back and won't listen to the first 200. I can't listen to. Different guy.
Yeah. You develop over that time period, right? That's what we're supposed to evolve, change.
Yeah.
Hopefully you learn how to keep what works and throw aside what doesn't.
Well, if I keep getting guests like you on here, I think we'll be all right. People love listening to the stuff like this. People love that 1% just working hard, and the elite. People love it. So I appreciate you coming on here and telling
Thanks,
your story.
Jeremy.
This is awesome.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy. This is coming out Monday, so I'll tell
Okay.
everyone to enjoy the rest of their week. If you're not motivated by this episode, I don't know what you got to do. Maybe take a couple more yoga classes, but I know I'm jacked up right now. Once again, JP, you're the man. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, we're out.
Appreciate it.
Peace.